Well, hello everyone. My name's Paula. I'm the Executive Officer of the Maths Association of WA, and I am hoping that you can all hear me. If you have a look down at the bottom of your screen for Zoom, you'll see a little reaction square or a little icon, I suppose, emoji for the best of the young amongst us. And if you could give me a bit of a thumbs up that you can hear me, that would be awesome. Great, I can see, let's just, yep, I've got lots of thumbs up, that's great. Now, just a couple of things before we get started. So welcome to Classroom Corner Term 2. This is actually our first Classroom Corner that we are running completely virtually. So I'm sitting here in the office with me and a pile of stuff that I can share with you and show you. And I've got no feedback verbally or facially from you. So if you've got any questions, please put it into the chat box. Once again, down the bottom of your screen, you'll see the little chat icon, and I'll do my absolute best to answer those as we go along. And if not, I am recording the session, and for the purposes of when I see the download, I will see all the chats, and then I can answer those questions via email to everyone. So what are we going to do today? Well, let me I'm going to get rid of my fancy screen, my virtual backdrop there, and I will share with you the PowerPoint presentation that we did send to you prior to today's event. And the reason I do that is because it's just easier. If you want to throw some notes on there, you can. And you can just, there we go, I've got everyone. So Classroom Corner, Term 2, we're going to have a look at what sort of games can we play with our students using really common everyday stuff you'll find in your classroom. Counters, I've got some cards here today, and I've got some dice. So let's get going. She says with great luck that this is actually, there we go. Okay, so just a couple of things for you participating. If you want to display your name, that's great. Please, I'm going to ask you to mute your microphone. It saves on that background noise. For some of you, you know, I've been doing online teaching for university students, and oh my goodness, you see to hear what goes on in the background. As I said, use the chat for questions and comments. And if you want to join by video, you're more than welcome, but you don't need to worry if you just want to have blank square with your name on it. So all the templates for the games that we're going to play today, I'm going to get those emailed out to you tomorrow or the day after. So I promise you'll have them before the weekend. Can I let you know, it may go to your junk box on your emails. No matter what I do with the Education Department and CEWA and ASWA, I cannot seem to get our domain whitelisted so that I can get everyone's emails coming into your inbox. But so try your junk box. And last of all, we will send you a link to this video recording so that you can have a look at it, you know, next week, or, you know, what did Paula say? Or do you know what? It's okay if you never view it again. I'm okay with that one. So what are some key messages about using maths games? Okay, it's really important that we come from the mindset that the maths game is about engagement, and it's not just for fun. There is, you know, it is fun, but it's actually about getting all students engaged in the activity, in the mathematics. Always a really good idea when you're looking for games, or you're, you know, wherever you find them on the internet, and Teachers Pay Teachers and Pinterest and all those sort of places. There are quite a lot of, well, they're a really nice game, but where's the mathematics within that game? So it's always really a good thing. It's kind of like the glasses I put on when I'm looking at a game, is to say, okay, where's the mathematics in this game? Because if there's no mathematics in it, or there's very little mathematics in it, I'm not playing it in my class, because classroom time is really important, and it's limited for that. You want to actually get your game that there's a balance between skill and luck. And so that's kind of, you don't want a game that's completely based on luck, but you don't want a game it's completely based on skill and there's no luck involved. I would remind you, okay, games do not teach our students. What they do, games provide the practice at something students have already been taught by you. So I always like to think of it, it's an alternative to the worksheet for the purposes of practice. Another thing that I look for when I'm looking for a maths game is it needs to be a good game. And a good game, and in the words of Paul Swan, it has to have the Goldilocks effect. Not too hard, not too simple, just right. And what makes a game just right is actually that I can modify it. So that I can modify it for students that are struggling, or I can add challenge to extend students, but they're all playing the same game. So that's kind of my key messages behind looking at a maths game. And I'm hoping I've addressed most of those with today's workshop. So what we're going to do is, I'm probably not going to stick to the PowerPoint presentation and show it to you because you've got it all in front of you. But I'd actually like you to see the games in action, happening live. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen with you. And we're going to have a look at our very first game. And this game it didn't have a name, so I gave it a name. And I just call it Number Circles. And so our Number Circles game, and here you can now see my number circles. Could I just let you know, if you can't see the number circles on the big screen in front of you, up the very top, you can toggle between what's called gallery view. And gallery view is a bit like a class photo. You're going to see an individual little box for all of us, or you can have it on speaker view. Put it on speaker view, because when it's on speaker view, you will have the big component of your screen will be taken up with what you can see on my webcam here. Okay, so 2 templates, they're going to both come to you. I've got mine in A4 only because I have to fit them in a smaller space. For in the classroom, I recommend putting them on A3 paper. 2 different colors, okay? The idea, okay, you're going to put your class into 2 teams. You could make up a 3rd circle and make 3 teams. What I love about this activity is done in silence. So it's a really good activity as a warm-up when the kids are really hyper, especially if they've come in after lunch and it's been windy and blowy and stormy, you know what it's like. So what happens is you get the kids into their teams, you give the front person of the team a marker pen. I always put my circles, I stick them up on whiteboards, and I'm just going to get my green one out of the way. And I make a decision as to what we're going to do with our number circle. So the first thing we do, we make a decision as a teacher. So I'm going to start down with my little guys, you know, maybe down with my year 1s, and I want to turn around and I might put in the middle 10 plus. And this is what happens. The first child of each team, they come up to their circle and they choose a number from the outside. Doesn't matter which one. And they're going to add that number to 10. And so for our weaker students, they're going to go, oh, yep, I'm going to do 10 plus 1. And they write 11 on the outside. And that child then goes back, gives the marker pen to the next child, and they come up and they choose. So the student I always have in my class, his name's Jared. Now, Jared's actually a super nice boy. He's my nephew, and he's about 21 at these times, but he knows that I always say that he's that child in the class because Jared was that child. So Jared's turn next. Jared comes up and he goes, yep, I'm really good at maths. and he says, okay, I'm going to do 10 plus, and I'm going to choose 12. And he writes the answer on the outside. Now, we can see the answer's incorrect, but that's okay. Jared takes the pen back and the next child comes up. And the next child then says, well, hang on a minute, Jared's got it wrong because 10 plus 12 is 22. So that child can cross out the 24 and write 22, but that's their turn and they head back. And so we go through the entire team this way. So we've got that checking process happening during the game, and everyone's able to pick a number to start with that works for them. So, okay, we've done our little guys. What about if we've got year 4s and we want to, or year 5s, and we want to start practicing our tables? Now, I'm just going to grab a different coloured pen. Unlike you, I don't have a whiteboard underneath mine, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of scribbling here. So for our slightly older children, all right, we're going to do our times tables, and we can do 6 times. And we go through exactly the same process to the game. The first team finished is the team that's got the correct answers all the way around the circle. And when they think they've done that, the whole team sits down. But now children are practicing the fluency of their times tables, but once again, choosing where they're comfortable at. With also doing our times table, we want our students to understand that the property of 6 times 5 is the same as 5 times 6. So my next effort is I would actually go times 6. It looks for us pretty simple, but for the kids, it's not, well, hang on a minute, now I've got to do 9 times 6 instead of 6 times 9, and they get that idea that they can switch it around. Now, year 6, year 7, we kind of bring in that rule of order stuff. Okay, I'm just going to flip my piece of paper over. Kind of get our slightly older kids. Same process, same template, nothing's changed, but this time we're going to do 3 plus 5 times the number. And now we've brought in rule of order. And we know that hopefully the students will do the multiplication first and then do the addition. And so now we've just upped the game to the next level without actually having to create a whole new game. Now, what about our year 8s? Year 8s, year 9s. Come on, what can we do with this that's going to be a little bit algebra-ish? So what we can do with our algebra, guys, is we've got 2 options. We can do 3 times x plus the number. So now they have to substitute the number in and multiply out the brackets. Okay, want to go a bit further? You're going to head to your year 9s. You might do x take away 3, x plus the number. And now we're really getting the kids to start to think about it. Please remember, this particular game, fluency. Okay, mental calculations, it's all about fluency. Okay, heading to our next one. I've got about half a dozen games to show you. So our next game is called Get Out of My House. Here's the template for Get Out of My House. What I've done for you on the template, I'll put the equipment at the top and the rules at the bottom. Two-player game. They need 7 counters, 2 different colours. I like the see-through counters. The reason I like the see-through counters is I can still see the number through there. All right, so we have ordinary packet of playing cards. I've just taken out all the picture cards. There's no picture cards in there. Okay, give them a bit of a shuffle. Rock, paper, scissors, decide who's going to go first. And what we do is we take 2 cards So this is going to be my go. I'm going to ask Robert to do it. Robert's going to play with me. And the reason I'm picking on Robert is I know Robert from Miranda. And I'm going to turn the cards over for Robert's turn, but he's going to put in the chat what number he wants me to cover. Here's what I do. I can do 10 plus 7, which is 17, and I can put my counter on 17. Or I can do 10 take away 7, which is 3, and I can put my counter on 3. I've decided to put my counter on 3. Those cards go out of the way. Are you ready, Robert? There you go. You've got 6 and 7. Would you like to tell us what you're going to do with them, please? Okay, Robert's going to add them. He wants 13. He's blue. I put his counter on 13. My go. 5 and 10. It's 15. I'm going to add them. I like adding. Okay, Robert, your go. You've got 9 and 3. Okay, Robert's going to go with 6. And I haven't stuffed these out. Okay, I got 10 and 5. Now, 10 and 5 is 15. It's already got a counter over it, and I can't put another counter on there. So I have to do subtraction, and 10 take 5 is 5. Here come your cards, Robert. You got 8 and 1. Okay, Robert's gone for 9. Okay, 8 take 8 is 0. I don't have a 0 in my house, so I've got to do 8 plus 8, which is 16. And I will not be impressed if we manage to play this game, Robert, and not have to get to the exciting part. Oh, can I ask a favour, Robert? Can I get you to subtract them for me? No, you're blue. You have to add them, mate. So Robert's added them. They're 8. He's going there. Now, the winner of the game is the first person to get rid of all of their counters. Okay. Now, this is great. I love it when this is happening because this is where the get out of my house comes in. 8 plus 5 is 13. And Robert is blue and he's got 13. And this is where I can say, get out of my house. And I kick him out of my house and I put my counter on 13. Okay, so that's the get out of my house bit. And we would keep going. Oh, Robert, what are you going to do this time? You've got an ace and a 2. He's going to go, get out of my house, Paula, and he's going to replace mine. Pretty simple game. Requires addition and subtraction. You want to step the game up a little bit. Okay, change the numbers on the board and do multiplication instead. And it can be done that. Winner, first person to get rid of their 7 counters. Now, because we like this game so much, the kids love it, there's a version 2. Now, in actual fact, version 2 is for our younger kids, even before we look at adding and subtracting. And this is called Get Out of My House 2. And as you can see, there's less numbers here. They range from 0 to 11. Once again, 2 players, 7 counters each, our packet of cards. Okay, I am going to ask, I'm going to ask Lisa and, I think it's Lisa and Emma. And Lisa and Emma have joined us today and they're from Lake Grace. So Lisa and Emma, you're going to do it this time. This time it's just turn over 1 card. Okay, and so it's a 4. Now, what I've actually got to do is I can put my counter on either the number before 4 or the number after 4. So this gives our little guys that idea of number sequence and what comes before and what comes after. 1 before, 1 after. I'm going to go with 5, and that's my turn. Okay, Lisa and Emma, Do you want to put it into your chat box? Where are you going to go this time? Your cards are 2. Okay, so they're going to go with the 3. So we put the blue counter on the 3. Now there's a slight twist to this game. Okay, I've got a 4. Now I've got some choices here. I could say to Lisa and Emma, get out of my house and put my red counter on the 3. Or, and this is the trick with this one, I could go, do you know what, the number after 4 is 5, and I can put 2 of my counters on the 5. Here's the twist. If by chance Lisa and Emma get a 4 or a 6, and they want to go, no, we're getting Paula out of the house here. They can say, get out of my house, and both of my counters leave. But if I have 3 counters in my house, it's my house, I'm permanently staying there, and no one can get me out of my house. So that's kind of how this one differs slightly. As I said, this is about the number before or the number after. You could change the rules in the first one to bring in this idea that you can have 2 counters in the house or 3 counters in the house. And it just brings in that little bit of extra competition. Once again, person who gets rid of their counters first, all 7 of them, is deemed the winner. And really quick, really short games that you can practice those basic skills for our little guys, you know, our little pre-primaries, year 1s, year 2s. We can play get out of my house or get out of my house 2. Okay. Let's head into our year 5s, 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s, 11s, and 12s. You know, those students who haven't got the idea of rule of order. Okay, maybe you've got a sign in your classroom that says BIMDAS. That's rule of order. Do you know what? We could get kids to do questions out of an exercise book for a very long time. And funny enough, the kids that get it, they get it, and they get them right. And the kids that make the same mistakes each time, such as they think that addition has to come before subtraction, they're always going to get it wrong. So this particular game of strike, and I do have written instructions for this one, and it will come to you. So don't frantically write everything down because you'll just about go insane. I get the kids to play in pairs. The reason I like kids to play in pairs is because they actually have to talk to each other. And that means that they are actually talking about their thinking and hopefully working on improving their vocab and their reasoning skills. Okay, so strike. 10-pin bowling. Got 10 pins, and the idea of a strike is you knock all of them down. We need 3 numbers to play strike. I always get my students to select the numbers. I ask student 1 to give me a number, student 2 to give me another number, and student 3 to give me a 3rd number. I'm sorry, guys, I've picked them for you. My 3 numbers here are 2, 5, and 9. Okay, so any digits, the digits 0 to 9, they've got to pick 3 of them. Here's the rules. I'm going to use my texters because they obviously show up a little better. Just going to go over these. 2, 5, and 9. Now, we need to use those digits and use any mathematical symbols we know of so that we can get the answers. Whoops, 7, can't count. So that we can make number sentences that equals each one of these numbers from 1 to 10. Now, the rules are, you can only use the number once in a number sentence. So I can't do 5 plus 5 is equal to 10 because I've only got one number 5 to deal with. Okay? I always start by saying, no, you can't make them decimals. No, I can't join them together to make 25 or 59. Keep it kind of simple. That's about it. and rule of order has to be correct. So I'm going to give you, do you know what, about 5 minutes, but I will get you started. So for example, here is a way to make 1. I can do 5 times 2, take away 9 is equal to 1. And because this number sentence is mathematically correct, and I've used all 3 numbers, I score 3 points. Okay, so mathematically correct, and I can score 3 points. I could score a maximum of 3 points for each number sentence. I could score 2 points, so I could do 2 times 5 is equal to 10, and this would score me 2 points. I can't think of a way to make 5, and so 5 is equal to 5. It would give me 1 point. The maximum points in strike is 30. Whoops, when it looks like a 30 and not 36, is 30. Okay, I'm going to give you a bit of a go. I'm going to get another piece of paper. I'm going to have a go. And then I'm going to share some of mine. And I'll give you a chance to have a look at some of the things that you can introduce to your students without actually teaching them. I'll let you go to it. I'll just, so we're all working away. I'm just going to get my sheet of paper and let's see how we go with strike. And yes, you can all use my 5 times 2, take away 9. It's really important to let the kids know they actually don't have to work them out in order. Like you don't have to find one for 1 first and then 2. Oh, I've done something, I can find it for 10. Calculator's always a really nice friend to have around when you're working with these. Now this is really not a great game for playing online. The reason being is because typing the maths is really difficult, as I found out with my university students the other week, trying to teach them how to play this game. So what do I do in a classroom here? How long do I give students to do? So I might give students 7 or 8 minutes in class. It's a bit of the warm-up activity in my class. And you then might say, right, take it home for homework and see how you go and bring it back tomorrow and we'll chat about it. You might say, do you know what, the lesson is about rule of order. So I want to give the kids 5 to 7 minutes to work it at the beginning, but then I actually want to see and collect their answers on the board so that I can explain, do I really need brackets? Is the rule of order correct? is there another way that that could have been written? And so I'm just going to zip back to my webcam, and I'm going to put mine here for you. So you're probably thinking, especially I do apologise to our junior primary teachers, and our primary teachers, they're probably going, what the heck has Paula done here? You know, this is not fair. Do you know what? For those of you who teach 5 to 9, I always do this one first, and because I only ever win the first game, and my students are always better than I am. So a couple of things I like to point out to the students, particularly this one here, the second one, is to say, well, do you know what? How else can we write this? And so it's got to be 9 take away 5, and we can write divided by 2. No, yes. That this representation and this representation are exactly the same. And then the question, do we really need the brackets? And so we can start to emphasize the rule of order. My favorite one is the lovely square root sign, because that's a freebie. Because the square root sign is a mathematical operation, but it doesn't require us to use a number. And so I've been quite tricky here of, you know, 9 squared is 81, and the square root of 81 is 9, and then the square root of 9 is equal to 3. And once I introduce this, even at year 5 level, if the students have never seen a square root sign before, if you explain to them that what it does is it's saying, this is the explanation I use for primary school students and year 7s at the beginning of the year, is what it does is it says, you have to think of a number that multiplies by itself to give that answer. So you have to think of a number that when you multiply it by itself, it's equal to 9. And so we're not explaining anything about square numbers or anything like that before the kids have got it. We're just explaining what the operation of a square root sign does. Once the students have got that, they can't wait to use it again. Year 9 guys, okay, if we had our numbers were 3, 7 and 9, they could do this, they could do a cube root, but this 3 counts. They couldn't do a 4th root. This one's allowed. They can't do a 4th root because they don't have a number 4. So that's why we like the square root sign, because it doesn't need a number to go with it. So I'll send you the instructions for strike. I've actually got the set of solutions for using the numbers or the digits 2, 5 and 9. A couple of tips, okay? Get the kids to score it themselves. Get them to check it with a calculator. It's okay. They always like to know their score. I always go for, did you get a better score than last time? Not who got 30 out of 30. The reason I don't ask who's got 30 out of 30, because I don't normally get 30 out of 30. Some tips for the classroom. I wish I'd done this. I tell everyone to do it when I teach them how to play strike, but I actually never got around to doing it myself with my students. And that is, grab an exercise book, and especially if you're sharing on the board, give it to one of your students, you know, the child with the really neat handwriting, and get them to put the 3 digits at the top and write all the solutions down. And that becomes your cheats answer book for later on, and as you continue to use it. How can you extend the game? Okay, yes, let the kids put 0.5, 0.2. They can't, of course, put a 0 in front of it because we haven't got a 0. So you go, yes, for strike, I'll accept 0.2, whereas normally, oh, okay. So Sarah has gone, hey, look, did anyone figure out something for 8? She's gone, I'm stumped. This is obviously perseverance happening. And then thanks to, I think it was, it's either Lisa or Larissa. Oh, sorry, it's Layla. And Layla said, yeah, I did 5 take 9 take 5 in brackets and multiplied it by 2. So great perseverance, game of perseverance this one is. Let the kids join the two numbers together to make a double digit. They'll figure out they don't need that very often and it's not very helpful. Really great activity. If you've got to have parents come in, you know, those parent meetings at the beginning of the year, you can say, come play maths game with your child and put this one here and see the conversation between parents and their children. So strike, really great game. And where did I find it? I didn't find it on the internet because if you put in strike, you get 10-pin bowling. But I would like to thank Gillian Stewart. She is from she was from Geraldton Senior High School at the time, and I pinched that idea off her at a conference in 2003. So it's been around a while and one that I've used a lot. So, all right, so strikes for our older kids, and it gives that little bit of idea of rule of order. Well, what about our younger guys? Can we have something that's a little bit more suited for our younger students? Yes, we can. It's called Chasing the Magic Number. So back to have a look at Chasing the Magic Number. Okay, requirements for Chasing the Magic Number. We need 2 10-sided dice. If you haven't got 10-sided dice, just the numbers, two sets of cards numbered 0 to 9, because once we've got the magic number, which we use the 10-sided dice for, we don't need them any longer. So we roll our dice. Now, we can add those numbers or we could multiply them. I'm going to make this really easy for us, guys. I'm going to add them together because we're starting with our little guys. And so my magic number is 8. Okay, so my magic number is 8. And I'm going to ask if we could get Sarah Ellen. If I can get Sarah Ellen, you're going to play with me this time, Sarah. Don't stress, no pressure, promise. I'm going to roll the 2 dice for you, Sarah. I'll tell you what numbers you've got. So Sarah's got a 6 and a 3. And Sarah, would you like to add those 2 numbers for your magic number, or would you like to multiply those 2 numbers? Okay, Sarah's definitely adding them. Okay, so she's going to add them, and her magic number is 9. And I've quite deliberately put it in 2 different colours because that's what you do with the kids. I'm just going to put your pen over there, Sarah, so I don't mix them up. And here's what we do now. Okay, I'm going to go first. All right, so I've got my cards. I've given them a really good shuffle from the last time. Once again, I've taken all the picture cards out. Okay, really important for our little guys is that we really encourage them to understand that the ace is the 1. If you think your students are going to struggle with that, could I recommend the School Friendly cards by Paul Swan, because they've got a number 1 in there, not an ace. But, you know, if you've got lots of cards, go for it. All right, I take 2 cards. I've got a 9 and a 7. Okay. We're just going to play for our little guys at the moment, so we're just going to do adding and subtracting. Okay, so I could add or subtract these, and I write my number sentence down. Okay, so I'm going to do 9 take away 7 is equal to 2. It is not my magic number, so I couldn't get to my magic number. So I'm just going to put a no, I didn't achieve my magic number. Now, if you don't like using a cross, because I'm not a fan of the cross because it indicates that this is wrong, then what I do with my guys is sad face. I didn't get to my magic number. Okay. I'm going to put the 9 and 7 just down out of your sight at the moment, but I don't discard them. I'm going to hang on to these. All right, Sarah, here's your numbers. You've got 2 and 6. What would you like to do with the 2 and 6, Sarah? Okay, so Sarah's definitely going to be adding these. And so once again, she writes down her number sentence and it's equal to 8. And Sarah doesn't have her magic number either. And Sarah, I'm just going to pop your cards down here and then I'm going to bring mine back so we can see. All right. Once I've had the first go where I get 2 cards, now I just have 1. All right, now I've got 5. Now, I can add all 3 numbers together, but I know that's going to be too big. It's not going to give me anywhere near 8. I could just use 2 of the cards, and it doesn't matter which 2 of the cards, to see if I can get my magic number. Okay, it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to get my magic number, but I've got to write something down because it's my turn. So I'm going to do 9 plus 7, take away 5, and I've got 11. Still not my magic number. Okay, Sarah, your cards are in front of us, and I'm just going to do a little bit of cheating here, Sarah, because I'm conscious of time. And I do want to get through our last couple of games because then everyone gets to play. So Sarah's turn, she turns over 1 card. Here is Sarah's cards. She's got a 2, a 6, and a 1. And Sarah, would you like to do something with those cards to see if you can get your magic number? Yep, she's definitely going for adding for them. She's going to do 2 plus 6 plus 1 is equal to 9. Smiley face, got her magic number. Because Sarah's used, sorry, I'm just going to get my hand out of the way. Because Sarah's written 2 number sentences, she scores 2 points. 2 points to get to her magic number. My turn. Okay, what can I do here? And you can see there's this time for thinking as the students are trying to make the combination. Well, we give this student, me, 1 more go to see if I could get my magic number. And I've gone, oh, it's too hard. I can't do it. Oh, yes, I can. 7 plus 5 is 12. Take away 4 is equal to 8. I've got my smiley number. I have 3 points. But this is a game in reverse because Sarah's going to win because she's got the lowest number of points. So this is not a highest number of points wins game. So really it's a simple game, easily played. If you want to start with your year 1s and you go, whoa, this is way too hard for my year 1s, Paula, just use the numbers 1 to 5 and we can modify the game. Okay, you want to play it with older students? Bring in the fact that they can do any of the 4 operations to be able to work out their numbers. The amount of mental calculations that are happening at that time is quite a lot. And so they're engaged in that mental calculation stuff, looking at fluency. So chase the magic number. We could also make the magic number bigger. Sarah and I, we played it safe and we just added them. But you could multiply them. If you wanted to, and you had access to, you could use 12-sided dice, 20-sided dice, and look at the numbers that way. So chase the magic number. Okay. Greedy Pig. Love Greedy Pig. The kids love it. It's not a particularly quiet game, but it's fun. Now, I'm going to hope that everyone's got a piece of paper in front of them, okay? I'm hoping that you can, my lights are flickering a little. Okay, Greedy Pig actually doesn't need a worksheet. Just get the kids to write the numbers 1 to 5, because we're going to play 5 games. A space for them to write down some numbers that are rolled on the dice, and a space for the total. Okay. Now, I am just going to, hopefully you can, alrighty. I'm hoping, I'll get this right, Paula. Okay, I can see all of your names on my screen. Okay, here is the rules. I'm going to roll the dice so you can just see my tiny little screen with my worksheet and my dice in front of me, and I can see the yellow dice was not a good one to pick. The first two rolls are free rolls. Okay, so I'm going to roll the dice first time. It's a number 3. I grab my pen, and under game number 1, first score is a 3. All right, I'll just quickly flick back. Oh, my computer's having a moment. Always does when you... Okay, so quick flick back. Okay, we rolled a 3 and I wrote the number 3. Second roll, I've got a 5. There we go, got a 5. And I write my 5. These two rolls are always the free rolls in this particular game. Now, where do we go from here? So just get the technology right, Paula. Okay. Now, this is the point where, my apologies, I didn't give you the instructions. All the children have to stand up. Okay? So we're all standing up. You're not, but it's okay. We can do this virtually. And they have to decide whether they're going to sit down with a score of 8 or they're going to stay standing up. Now, what makes the decision about sitting down? Well, when we roll the dice, after the first 2 rolls, we have what's called the kill number, okay? And 2 is the kill number. So if I now rolled a 2 and we're all standing up, we all get a total score of 0 because the 2 wipes out everything and we all have to sit down and we play again. Okay, so what I'm going to ask is, as I can see you all on my screen, if you're ready to sit down, all you need to do is pick a reaction and put it up next to your screen. And we know that person is sitting down, and we keep playing until the last person makes the decision to sit down. Okay. I never tell the kids the point of the game beyond what I've explained to you for the first game. Okay, our next number is a 3. And I say to the students, is there anybody who wants to sit down? Make your decisions. Okay, we're giving the students a chance to think about the probability. I've rolled a 5. Is there anybody ready to sit down? You bet there is. Paula is definitely sitting down. Okay, so is Robert, there's a couple of other people. So for those of you who sat down like I did, my total is 16. Okay, next roll, 2. Everybody who was left standing, you need to put a 2 here and your total is now 0. And the kids, you can imagine at this time go, oh, Robert's clapping. He's going, yes, great job, me. Chose when to sit down. Now is when I tell the students the point of the game. We're going to play 5 of these games. And after 5 games, you're going to total up your total scores to give us a grand total. And so now there's a lot of thinking going on about when's the best time to sit down? Oh, will I sit down now? Will I stand up? And I always say to the kids, there's no sitting on the fence. I'm a country girl. I know how hard it is to sit on a barbed wire fence and how much pain it creates. So you're getting the students to make their decision. Okay, so quick question from Rebecca. Do you always use 2 as the kill number? I always do, Rebecca. I deliberately don't use a 6. Okay, I like it to be a little low number because what I'm aiming for is I really want this grand total to be quite a big number. And that's why I use the 2. You could use a 3 or a 1 if you want, but I wouldn't personally go any higher than that. Now, I'm just going to take us quickly. Okay, we've played a couple of games with our students, and now we go, all right, so what do we do with it now? So we've got some options depending upon what year level you've got. Okay, first thing we do is get the kids to total the score together to get a grand total. Okay, my little guys, 2, 3, 4s, you just might get those kids to put their grand total number on a piece of paper and line themselves up from smallest number to biggest number. Or everyone with an even number over here, everyone with an odd number over there. Okay, so we can just talk about the order of the numbers. You could get the students to put their number on a sticky note and put it up on the whiteboard. And once again, get the kids to manipulate them into order. But now you can think about, how could I graph that? And you could look at a dot plot. What a great way to get data to do a dot plot. Okay. At year 5, 6, 7s, 8s, when we talk about stem and leaf plots, okay? It's no fun getting a set of data out of a textbook. Let's collect some real data. And we can now demonstrate what a stem and leaf plot looks like. And the great thing about the sticky notes is the fact that you can get the kids to rearrange them so you get an ordered stem and leaf plot. Our year 7, 8s, we could find the mean. We could find the median. The most powerful part of Greedy Pig is not that. The most powerful part is the discussion about, so what are some strategies to determine when we should sit down? And some kids will say to you, we should sit down after we've had 6 rolls. Some kids will say, no, let's sit down when our total's 25. And there's a chance to get the students to have a go at seeing how their strategy works using this particular thing. As I said to you, Greedy Pig comes from Maths 300. Maths 300 is a piece of software. It's not software like Mathletics or Maths Pathways or Education Perfect or anything like that. Maths 300 is actually a series of about 200 lessons. Lessons written for teachers to take you through the steps of the activities. And some of the activities have software to go with them. So Greedy Pig does have software to go with it. And the software can be used by the students to test out their strategies. Okay? If you're interested in having a look at what's available in Maths 300, just Google Maths 300. There is about 4 sample lessons on there. Molto, oh, love Molto if you've got you want kids to learn their times tables. It's free, that particular lesson. And there's about 4 more others that you can have a look at as sample lessons. I don't normally do the big sell, but I've used Maths 300 for over 10 years now. And I like the fact that once you've joined the Maths 300 site, there's a first year joining fee. The most expensive subscription for 12 months is about $250. And that means every child in your school can have it on their device, at home or at school, and every teacher can have it on their device. And if you don't have children with a device, that's okay, because you know what? It works just as brilliantly with you projecting the software up onto your computer. Greedy Pig, great way to collect data, great way to look at data. How can we graph it? And how can we find the statistics of it? And a whole class activity, and all you need is 1 dice for you. And we can go from there. Okay, so Greedy Pig. Let's have a look at lightning multiplication. Now, lightning multiplication, these are lightning cards. This is the name of the cards. As you can see, let's turn it over, Paula, not that one. Okay, these are lightning cards. These ones are from a company called Think Square, which is a Australian company, small business, great, coolest primary school maths teacher I've ever seen, dreadlocks and everything. The kids love him. Andrew's his name. And he creates games to go with the lightning cards. So the game I'm going to show you today is just one of many that he has. We want kids to practice their tables. Okay, we set the cards up like this. You can have just one card here. We're going to practice our 5 times tables. 5 times 9, 45. 5 times 2. And we can do this as an individual activity. Our cards go from 1 to 10. Okay, fairly simple. But what if our kids need addition practice? The other side of the operation card is addition. Now, in your PowerPoint presentation, what I've done is, because Andrew's got a free, love that word when it comes to things for teachers, free link there to his website and what is called 20 Card Dash. And basically 20 Card Dash is exactly this, practicing our tables, and it looks just like the cards do. That's lightning multiplication or lightning addition if you want to turn it over. Okay, and the great thing about Andrew's website is Andrew's not a great believer when you're interacting with a website or a game online that it's competitive between you and someone else in your class. So actually you're just competing against yourself and bettering your time for it. So if you need a little bit of practice, something a bit fun, have a go at that. Also, you might want to just have a look at some of the games on the Think Square website. They've got some really good ones. As I said, there's lots of particular games that you can do with the lightning cards. There's some really good ones about square numbers and triangular numbers, and some really good rule of order ones. And then I'll let you know. Mawas, we do supply these, and when you if you purchase a packet of cards, you get the teacher's guide and it gives you all the information that goes with it. And I'm conscious of the time, and as always, I plan too much, but I'm hoping that you've got an extra few minutes that you'll share with me to be able to do how much area. Now, I've got a board here that mine's whiteboardish, but it doesn't need to be. You could use this size whiteboard, or you could use graph paper, just ordinary old graph paper. It doesn't have to be a whiteboard arrangement. What you're going to do here, I'm going to play on the bigger one because it's easier to see. 2 or 3 students, 2 6-sided dice, and you could use, excuse me, I just got to grab a whiteboard marker or 2. So this is a game, once again, to practice our multiplication. I've got 5 times 1, and so what I'm going to draw is I'm actually going to draw a paddock, which is really interesting. Country kids know what a paddock is, city kids not so much. And I can choose whether I'm going to draw my paddock this way, or, and for the ease of being sure, or I'm going to draw it this way, but I'm not going to turn the board. Okay, and in here I write that this is 1 row of 5 and it's equal to 5. That's the array, rows. 1 row of 5 and it's equal to 5. My partner's turn. They've got 4 and a 2, so they're going to look at drawing a paddock that is either 4 rows and 2 columns, or 2 rows and 4 columns. And the idea, let's have a look. I might just player number 2 is going to go here. And we've got 2 rows of 4, which is equal to 8. 2 different coloured pens. If you have 3 children, 3 different coloured pens. I've got 4, I'm doing really well at low numbers today. 4 times 1, well, I'm going to go down here. And I've got 4 times 1, which is equal to 4. And we continue to play until we roll a number that can't draw us a paddock. They must be rectangular paddocks. Okay, none of these odd-shaped paddocks. Until we cannot draw one. And then we look at which player has the biggest area. And this can be achieved by adding the numbers together. How do we extend the game? Okay, we could go our 1 centimetre graph paper, our 10-sided dice as one option to extend it. We could turn around and say, okay, I'm going to be a little bit creative here. Okay, I've got 6 and a 4. So I could then, after I've played it many times, doing 6 times 4, and I have to find a rectangle of 24 squares, is to say, well, there's not a spot for 24 squares. So I'm actually going to do it as 2 times 6 plus 2 times 6. And I'm going to draw 2 rectangles that when I add the area together, they go that way. They give me the total. If that's the case, so if I was to do that, okay, so I'm going to go here's my first 2 times 6 is equal to 12. But I've got my other one up here somewhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, I've got 6. I've got 6 times 2 is equal to 12. I want to know, I say to the kids, you have to shade those just to show that they went together to give us that total. Okay, so a couple of ways to change it up for how much area, or who's got the most area. Okay, where are we up to, Paula? We're nearly there. I'm going to zip back to, no, we're not going to turn our video camera off, Paula. That's not the way to do it. I'm just going to go back to sharing the PowerPoint with you because I just wanted to, a couple of things. Let's just zip right through to the end. Okay, a couple of ideas. I've told you about Molto on the Maths 300 site. If you've never heard of a Ken puzzle, okay, could you please go to Dr. Paul Swan's website, grab the Ken puzzles. They are free. Now, the great thing, what Paul's done is he's shaded them in colour so that you can teach the students how to actually play Ken using the colour. And once you've done that, just Google Ken puzzles and you will find thousands of them on the internet. What I like is that they've got some aspects of Sudoku, but it does actually require the 4 operations. I've put here, take some risks. Take some risks are some cards to do with chance and probability. And if you'd like to have a look at what are the take some risk cards, then the inventor of them, Warren, who is a West Australian teacher, he's created a video for me, and that's the link to the video for that one. Now, for our junior primary teachers, you know, our kindy pre-primary year 1 guys, unfortunately, subitizing activities, I couldn't do it virtually for you because they're done on paper plates and I've got about 50 of them and I actually need a really big space. So what I've got is there's the article about the subitizing activities is in, it's in a prime number, which is the Maths Association of Victoria's Maths Journal. And so I will send you a copy of that. Really great ideas for sabotising activities for our little guys. And I'm going to thank you for coming. It's kind of the best PE, isn't it? You can sit back at work, you could be sitting at home, maybe with a cup of coffee and a cake, maybe with a glass of wine, and at least have a go at doing something. And hopefully you've got something that you can take into your classroom tomorrow, or maybe the day after when I send you through the template. Now, I know we've got some people here today who are Mawar members, and some who their school is a Mawar member, but we do have some people whose school or individually they are not a Mawar member. So I'd like to take this opportunity to let you know what else we do. So we do a lot of things for teachers. I've got some professional learning coming up. It's next Friday. It is during the school day. But it is, you can have fun with geometry with Derek Hurrell, or you can learn about algebraic thinking with Lorraine Day. And because of the nature of their workshops, that one is going to have to be face-to-face. So I do apologise to our country teachers. I'm working on getting them to do it virtually for me. A little later, next term, I've got Paul Swan and Dave Dunstan doing some professional learning for us, and that will be after school. And once again, I'm working on these guys to do me a virtual one as well as a face-to-face. We do what's called Mawar Maths Meets. These are social networking opportunities. And I do apologise. We do have a couple of teachers from the Kalgoorlie region with us today. And unfortunately, the one in Kalgoorlie had to be cancelled thanks to COVID-19. But it's a general get together chat, and Mawar will provide the first drink, and we do tend to do them at a pub, that sort of thing. So we've got that. For those of you who are in secondary, we do have an ATAR investigation writing workshop coming up. If you've never heard of Have Some Fun Online, this is a student activity. I've got a workshop coming up for that as well. And if you've got some students that are very capable of maths and their parents are looking for some extension stuff, we have what's called the West Australian Mathematics Problem Solving Program, WAMPS for short. And I've got an information session for parents coming up. And so any of these activities that you can see that we're doing in the way of professional learning or social opportunities, etc., you'll see on our website under Mawar Events and Activities. I just wanted to let you know, what do I do except sitting here talking to my computer, to you lovely people doing Classroom Corner. My role at Mawar is to actually provide professional learning, and I can do that in school and I can do it tailored to your needs. And please, if you are a country school, don't think, yeah, right, no, Paula just works in the city and she never goes to the country. She does. And I'm certainly willing to come down and do some professional learning in your school. It just might look a little bit different. It might not just be an hour after school. It might be a day of PL that's very geared towards PL for your teachers. I can run an evening PL workshop for your parents, and we can run some student activities around those events as well. So just some of the things that we do here at the association, and we really try to support our members by making things, there's a difference in price between members and non-members. So hopefully there's value for money if your school becomes a member or you become a personal member. Here's some activities we do for students. Have Some Fun Online. Started on Monday, not too late to join. This term we've got years 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 competitions. Next term, years 3 to 10. Once again, go to the website, have a look. It's got some information there. It's got some practice questions. Have Some Fun face-to-face, years 5 to 12. Normally held in March. Didn't happen in March this year. We're hoping to get it into September or October. Maths Talent Quest. Please see our website for that one. Great activity, competition for your children to be involved in. kindergarten to year 12. Only thing that goes down to our kindies and our pre-primaries, guys. So some information there. And we do have a video of the webinar that happened so that you can actually see Donna, who is our coordinator of Maths Talent Quest, telling you all about it, and her webinar's up there for you. Maths Problem Solving Program I've given you some information about. I'm going to give you an opportunity if we've got any questions. I'm happy to answer those and have a look at them. We did when we sent the email with the link to today's Zoom meeting, we do have an evaluation form. We made it online, so it's anonymous. We've given you the link. I've also put the link in the PowerPoint presentation here. Would desperately love some feedback from you about how you think classroom corners are, but also some feedback about the delivery mode being virtual, how we can help support that and improve that for particularly for our country members or our country schools, because driving to Perth is not always an option and an easy one to do. So, I'm always over time. I'm terribly sorry. 11 minutes over time. Thank you so much for coming, and have a great night, and hopefully we will touch base either face-to-face or virtually sometime in the near future. Have a great day. Thank you.